everyone. It's Monday morning, currently 7:22. We're on our way into the shop. Obviously we need to get some brekkie. Probably going to be a bacon sandwich and a coffee. Hope you're good, hope you had a good weekend. We've had a few more subscribers. Welcome everyone, thanks for pressing the button. So weekend's festivities. Obviously we went up to Caffeine and Machine with Ferry and Soundman 2.0. It was a bit wet up on the drive, a bit wet on the way back. We had some absolute codpiece in a Civic Type R trying to race on the way back. Just basically a young kid in an old Civic. Didn't really know how to drive. He nearly crashed his car many a time trying to be the kiddie. He sat up Dan's ass, overtook Dan, and then come after me. Sat up my ass, overtook me. Just generally being a bit of a penis for no reason really, and he, you know, was insistent on trying to kill himself and his mate, trying to get away from us. Oh dear, kids. So it was a bit of a fly on the wall thing. The cars up there left quite early. There wasn't a lot there when we got there because the weather was so changeable. Which, you know, you take it either way. It was a shame that we didn't see a lot. There was, you know, the car park was already quite empty when we got there. Well, sorry, the car park was full when we got there, but by the time we'd eaten and drank and had a few laughs and talked a bit, everything had kind of left and filtered out. So it was more just a case of, you know, it was a bit of kind of me time. It was R&R time, but I took you along for the ride. So apologies if it felt a bit fly on the wall. It didn't mean to be like that. But it was just kind of a, you know, excuse to get out and 360 to chase with the lights on it. And it does look cool at night. It's amazing how much light spreads out the side of the car as well. You can't really see it from that camera angle. I need like a longer pole, but even like the bushes and the curbs on each side of the road, they were a different colour as well. It's quite funny. But we've got a BMW coming in today. Now, as far as I understand it, he has basically tried, or has fitted his own 8.9 bit from Audison. So that's the 8-channel processed amplifier into a 2 series, I think, and he needs it setting up. Now I'm a little bit concerned because obviously with the 8.9 bit you have the option to do 8 channels of signal processing and amplification. He said he's bought some like ready-made plugs, just fitted it in the car. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it's running full range through only 4 channels. As in, he's got them all bridged, which I get it, but it's almost a bit of a waste because you could have just done that with a 4-channel amp and not spent the money on the Audison one to have 8 channels but not actually run it active. That doesn't make sense. So I had a little chat with him and said, look, how have you wired it up, blah blah blah. We got to have a look at it and see what he's done with the wiring. But we're basically going to set it up for the guy and tune it and see what we can do with the car. Now, if worst case scenario, if it's a 2 series and it doesn't have rear speakers, what we can do is obviously do the subs, the front end active, so we can do the tweeters and mid-range all separate, and get a better sound out of it that way. But I don't exactly, I haven't seen the car, I haven't fitted it, I don't know what he's done. So we're going to be walking into it a bit blind, and we'll go from there. But time to get breakfast, and I will speak to you when we get into work.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Morning everyone, let me just turn this shit off.
And in the West Midlands on the 838 Audison Express.
So we've got our 2 series in. Here we are. I've already made a start. So the customer's come in, the store card is missing. and some bits and bobs. He's already fitted the subs underneath the seats, and he's done some wiring with the system that he's kind of bought online from Audison. He's bought apparently a biamp kit and all sorts of other bits and bobs, which, you know, using the crossovers and things like that, it would work. There's no denying it. But like I said, this is the 8.9, so it's fully active. So to run everything through crossovers when you've got a fully active system just defeats the object. So we're rewiring everything, and I've told him we're going to make it all active instead, because otherwise there's just no point. So we're going to run the underseat subs are already fitted. We're going to run those in a bridged format, so there's more power. I've run in an extra tweeter feed over here, so this is going to be our mid-range input, this is going to be our tweeter feed, and that runs down into the door. I've run a new piece of grommet trim, so we've got a weather trim here. This is our tweeter cable, comes into the door and up through here, and then that will run the entire length of the car back to the amp. We're going to do the same over that side, and then we can basically fit the mid-range onto this, the tweeter onto this, same over there. That will be our active front end. And then once we run everything back here, I'll use the car's normal output to be the mid into the door, so I don't need to disturb that. We'll have our own tweeter feed and then our own sub feed, so everything, the front end, 6 channels, well, 6 speakers, but we're going to make it into an 8-channel system because we'll bridge 2 of the channels out for the sub, so it will become a 6-channel amplifier basically, instead of an 8 with twice the power for the subs. So we're going to change some bits around, redo this wiring, go through it, because I don't know what the guy's done, and I want to make sure that I know what's in there. So I'll come back to you in a bit when we've got some stuff in the doors and everything's looking sweet. See you in a bit. Right then everyone, let's have a little update on the Beamer. So working through the wiring, we've got this side done, so we've got our Audison tweeter mounted in there and our Audison mid-range in the door, run the cabling in, and we've got our nice little braided line there through for the tweeter. Obviously we're using the input for the door as the mid-range only. Then running down there we've got our input for our sub. Can you see that little light blue plug there at the bottom? That one there. And then that comes into there, so we've got an in and an out, input from the head unit, output to the mid, output from the sub, and then that's running down there into the boot. And then I am just starting the install on this side. So we've taken out the factory tweeter, which is passive. Obviously it has a filter to stop the bass going to it, and we have our factory mid, and that's going to get replaced here. And I'm just starting putting in my cabling through that little grommet there into the door. Then we'll run our tweeter and bits and bobs up here. That'll be our mid-range input only. Tweeter input will have its own cable, and then that will then run down here again. We've got to change over the cabling, so we'll run this in biamp. So the sub will be bridged, the front will be a channel, mid-range will be a channel, tweeter will be a channel, and then that will run back to the car in the back. But we're going to swap out, so we're going to use this cabling, not that cabling. But we'll add this one in as well. So I'll come back to you in a minute. I'm just going to start doing these 2 grommets in the door. See you in a mo. Right then everyone, little update. So we've got the laptop ready, the amp is in and powered up. I've got to obviously sort out that little bit of cabling, but we've got our nice little neat run all the way up into the car. And then that obviously runs down here nice and neatly, and then basically disappears into the vehicle. So we've got our speakers all fitted up. Just turn this light out a second. Get that back. So because for the initial tune, what I'm going to do is work from the back of the car. So for now, we've got our rear channel bridged. We've got mids and tweeters are independent. And now what I'm going to do is just basically write down a little list of the measurements using my Zamo. Let's just turn the power off because we don't need that on. So there's my little laser. You see that on the dash. So what I'm going to do now is kind of sit myself in the car, roughly, and then let me just right then everyone, can you see me all right? Okay, so we've got a little Zamo, and there is our little laser. So this will give me a measurement we're going to put into the 8.9 bit in a minute. So what I'm going to do is sit in the chair where the guy had it, and then I'm going to put this to my nose, and I'm just basically going to take, let me do it this way so you can see, I'm going to take a measurement from where my head is roughly to the tweeter. So that gives me a measurement of 1209. So then I can do tweeter left, which is channel 1, and that is 1.209 meters away from my head. So this is for the time alignment basically. Okay, same again, go down now to the mid, press it in the middle of the mid, and we've got 1220. So I put mid left, that will be channel 3, because we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, bridge 5 and 6, bridge 7 and 8. Okay, so that will be channel 3, and that one is 1220 away from my head. Then we're going to do hang on a sec. Right. Let me come over to the driver's door. Come here, you. Right, there we go. Okay, so same again, sitting in my seat, pointing at the tweeter, roughly in my head. That's going to be, did that register? Try it again. There we go. So roughly in my head. So that one's going to be tweeter right, and that will be channel 2. So 1, 2, channel 2, and that one is 0.755 away from my head. Same again for the mid, roughly sitting in the seat, middle of the mid, that's going to be 0.845. So mid right, and that will be channel 4, because we're 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is 0.845. You can mess around with the setup basically when you're in a car and you're playing tunes, but this is kind of to get it somewhere to where you want to hear it basically. Right, then we've got our sub, which is kind of down there. Now obviously we can't get to the sub because of the laser's going to bounce off the chair, so what we can do is we can either go to the edge of the carpet and then figure out, you know, if we've got a little bit of delay, a little bit of gap there. So we go on the edge of the carpet where the sub is, press it there, so that gives us a 1.204. So sub, and that's going to be bridge 5 and 6 left, and that's going to be 1.204. But to be honest, I think that's going to change, so we'll add, because of the depth of it, we'll do 20 centimeters more, so we'll do 122.4. We can play around in that vicinity. Same with this one, so I'm going to go for the edge of the carpet, roughly where my head is going to be, which is, you know, kind of about there. So we are going to go there, and that's given me 0.88 off the edge of the carpet, but we're going to go down another 15 centimeters on that one. So sub channel 7 and 8 right, that's bridged, and that's going to be what should we do with 20 centimeters onto that, or 15 maybe. We'll go with 10, we'll start with 105, 1.058, and then we can move it to and from there. But that will give us a rough description of where we're going to be basically. Alright, I'll come back to you in a minute. We'll get that put into the system. Right then everyone, so we're logged into our 8.9. Now we're going to go through the setup menu. So we're going to go settings first off, and we're going to go configuration wizard. So first of all we need to tell our car, oh God. First of all we need to tell our car basically what we're going to do to it, okay? So we're going to go through the configuration wizard. So it says this wizard will guide you through the steps to configure your device. We're going to press start. So the input configuration. So we've got front and rear and aux. So we're going to be on a two-way front and rear. We're going to derive the sub from the fronts. We're going to go yes. Insert installation CD into your vehicle's CD player where you're playing track 1. Set all tones and controls to 0. Balance and fader to 0. Turn the CD on the maximum undistorted volume. Press go. So this is now basically going to de-equalize our system and figure out what our standard stereo can and can't do. So I'm going to go and get the CD. We're going to get that plugged in. Back in a minute. Right, so we've adjusted all of the tones inside the car. We're going to do 0 dB reference, and what I've basically done is made sure that we've not got any bass, treble, gala volume, the speed dependent volume, all of that taken from the car. Made sure that it's at 0, because what we don't want is any interference as far as sound goes. Obviously these things run a gala system, so when the car accelerates the volume gets louder, and that's what we don't want. So now it's going to check the load setting, and then it's going to de-equalize the head unit. We'll probably have to go to track 2. But what this is doing now is it's listening to the stereo sound, what's coming from the head unit into the amplifier. So this is like checking the inputs. So we can see here that it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 channels of input. The green says it's okay and they're not clipping. If these were flashing red, then it would be too much and we'd need to turn them down. So we go next. Now it's going to do de-equalization, so we need to skip the CD to track 2 and press go again. And we press go. So what this is doing now is it's de-equalizing. So we are playing pink noise through the system, which is basically equal levels of sound at 0 dB from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. And then by doing this, you can see there it says processing front left. The Audison is now listening to what the EQ is putting out from the factory, and then it will de-equalize it and give it a flat sound response rather than it being loads of bass or loads of mid or loads of treble, and it will basically get rid of that bad sound. So we start afresh. So in a minute you'll see a little diagram and it will say front left, and it will have like a spike all over it of what they've already altered to make the stereo system sound the way they want it. But we're going to get rid of that. There you go. So you can see from 20 Hz we've got a bass roll off right down, and then it goes up for a mid just under 100, right down again, and then it slowly goes up and over to 20 kHz. So that will basically get rid of, and it will be a more flatter curve, a more flatter response. So that's going to do that through front left, front right, rear left, rear right. There we go, front right, same again, different kind of curve. So again, they've altered the sound of that one. So we're going to get rid of that line. Well, not the line, we're going to change the sound. There we go again, rear left. So you see again, big bass roll off, so they don't want any bass coming through rear left. And then a big spike into mid, and then down again at 1K, and then back up again at 5, 10 and 20, it rolls off. So center channel it's moved to now, if it had one. That's its EQ curve for its center channel. Again, this is not what the Audison is doing, this is the factory sound, this is how they've programmed it to sound. The Audison will actually remove this line and make it more flatter. There we go, rear right. Center channel. And it's allocating subwoofer, so it's found a subwoofer frequency. It'll do subwoofer left, subwoofer right. Now your car may not have a subwoofer, but what it's doing is it's just evaluating the level which is coming out of it. Subwoofer left. So it says the head unit is equalized, de-equalization active, press next to continue. Next. So we've got our channels here. So we've got, are we running any external amplifiers? We're not. Please select any external amplifiers. We are not running any channels. Now we can allocate our speakers. So we've got a tweeter, we've got a mid, and we've got 2 subs, and the rear channels are bridged. Next, so now we set our crossovers. So this is going to be a tweeter, that's going to be channel 1, this is going to be channel 2, this is going to be 3, this is going to be 4, this is going to be 5 and 6, and this is going to be 7 and 8. Oh. When it's green, it says right. When it's red, it basically means that you can't do what you're asking it to do. So if you messed up on your setup and the car was red, it would say that you're allocating channels wrong. But obviously that's how we've measured it, that's how we've wired it, so that's how we're going to go. And then next, and then finish, and what it'll do is it'll save the configurations to our amplifier, so it's kind of bespoke to us. That's how it's set. So obviously if we swapped 5 and 6 onto 1 and 2, we would then start playing bass down the tweeter channel, which we don't want to do. And you'll see this stuff up here change as well. There we go. So we've got tweeter, mid, 2 subs. So now we've got our amplifier set. One thing I didn't do, which you must do, is see this little red dot here? That tells you where the driver's sitting, and it was on the left. We need to have it on the right, so make sure that's changed. Now, here's our list of sounds and how far things are away. And we're going to now put all that information into the speakers. So what we're going to do is we will click on tweeter first, make sure tweeter's highlighted, which is channel 1, and we know that that on our little list is 1.209 away from my head as I'm sat here. So we'll go down to here, we'll set the distance at 1.2. This is a rough idea, we can mess with this when we're in the car, then it gets us to somewhere where we need to be. 1.2. Yeah, so we'll go with 1.2, right, and then we'll go across to channel 2, which is the tweeter, which is 0.75, down to here. So we'll go to 0.7. There we go. And then back over to the mid, channel 2. Oh, sorry, channel 3, which was 1.22. That's close enough. And then channel 4, our right hand mid, which is 0.845. Lovely. And then our subs, we'll go left one first, which is we're going to add on that 20 centimeters for it being under the seat, so we're going to go with 1.224. There we go. And then the right hand sub under my bottom, and that was 1.58. What we're doing is we're basically setting the time delay, so all of this sound should reach our head at the same time, as near as damn it. Right, so that's our thing. So we've set our time delays in there. We've got our mid curve, our tweeter curve, and our sub curve. Right, then what we'll basically do is we've got our settings, so we will finalize the device, so we will save all of our actions to that device. We will also save it as AP 8.9 BMW 2 Series, and we know which one this is, and then if I ever need to come back and correct everything, my initial map is already saved. So we'll save that. We will write to the device, synchronize, and then we'll finish, and then we can basically plug in our ins and outs. We do all this obviously with our ins and outs plug, sorry, our output plug disconnected, because what we don't want to do is send any kind of funky channel, any funky sound down to the tweeter like bass. So we leave the outputs disconnected until we've gone through this menu. Now we should be good to put some music in and have a little test. So I'm going to go to the radio first, turn down the volume, plug that in, and we'll put some normal music on and have a listen. I'll come back to you in a seckie. I'll see you in a bit. Customers ran away. So this one's all finished. Little 2 series. We've got the Audison in. Here's our cable running through, and then it goes up into the car. We're just playing a bit of Matt Monroe, and it sounds dirt good. So obviously we've got live component in the front, tweeter and mid-range, space under the seat, all running through our little textured grommet here, and our cable, our braided lines front and rear. We've got rear speakers active, and obviously he's just asked me to put a dash cam in, so we've put in a thinkware as well, taken out the thing that he had in there before, so this is much nicer. Obviously I sell it, of course, but this one's done. So I will come back to you in a bit, but yeah, a bit of a result. It's a nice job, sounds wicked. See you in a bit. Right then everyone, that's it for Monday. Beamer's gone. He watches the videos, so thanks Peter for coming down, bringing the Beamer. Hope you like it. Sounded really nice, I'm happy with that. Obviously we've changed around some bits and bobs from his install to my install, just so I've got the car kind of running how I want it to be, and make sure everything's running active so he's not wasting equipment. Tomorrow's job has just been dropped off. It's that T6. We've got a full system to doing it. Head unit, 2 amps, sub, bass controller, speakers in the doors, speakers in the front, components, 2 ways in the back. So that's tomorrow's job. Obviously it's Snap on Tuesday tomorrow as well, and we have a new flyer. Can't guarantee what equipment we're going to have on that flyer, but we've got a new flyer, so it should be better than the one we had last week. Window shut. So thanks for watching. There will be 2 videos today. Obviously we've done an unboxing, so feel free to have a nose at that. It's quite a nice unit actually. The brand new Pioneer SPH DA160. I've got the first one, which is kind of cool, so that'll be up later on as well. But other than that everyone, we are done for today. Let's turn that off because we're probably getting blown all over the place with the mic. Anything you want to add, questions, queries, whatnot, get them in the comment section. We have got day off Wednesday. I've got the girls again, so we'll get the T6 done tomorrow, and then it gives me a day off again with the squidges. But I need to go and find some food for them. We've just had the floors done in the house, so nobody can go in the kitchen at the minute because they've kind of put like a levelling compound down. So I'm sure they won't be happy to come back tomorrow and find my face or the outline of my body drop from a great height in the kitchen. So yes, I'm on takeaway duty, gonna find something to get everyone. But thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow guys. Keep safe. Bye bye.
You told me you had subscribed to ASC Audio and now you've missed an episode. No!